Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, Patreon, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever, guys. While you're there, go and rate, review, subscribe, then head on over to the Facebook group and Twitter account and join in the discussion. Well, hello everyone. Welcome. It is a sunny day here in Austin, Texas. 90 degrees. Yes, that's right. Middle of October, 90 degrees. It should not be this hot, but it is such a nice day, so hopefully you are outside enjoying it. Hope you guys had a good week. I myself have been enjoying this week. You know, it's been pretty good. Nothing too big happened so far, but nothing bad really happened so far. So I call it a win scenario. For those of you who are new to the show, welcome. Now, how this works, guys, is you head on over to the Dayspring Discussions Facebook group and Twitter account, and there I have been posting stories all week long about things that are happening in the world of geekdom. Feel free to share your own stories if you see something that I do not post. We talk about stuff, discuss things, wink, wink, and we politely debate and enjoy the things we are passionate about. On this show, I step out about once a week, or sit down, I guess, and discuss these stories of the week that I find most interesting, are the most popular, or things I feel the most heated about. You guys, of course, comment on wherever you're listening. Head on over to the social media groups or dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com and fire back, and we keep the discussion going. Do you notice a theme here about it? Hopefully you do. Anyway, guys, a lot of good stuff that happened this week. Just like to start off, of course, like I always do, with a little segment I call What Am I Watching? So what am I watching this week? So I've been watching various things throughout the week. I feel like right now, lately, I've been guilty of not watching enough new things, I feel like. Mainly, you know, I don't know if it's just because of the lack of stuff that's out there, or there's stuff that I try that I don't continue on. But I feel like I've been watching a lot of older stuff, you know, and it's fine. We all do it. It's comforting. We like it. Almost done. Finished rewatching Scrubs. Trying to catch up on Archer, or rewatching Archer to get to the new season. Started early seasons of The Flash because I love the early seasons of The Flash. Kind of put a pin on that, of course, with that. And then right now, I'm actually skimming through and rewatching some Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And the reason being, I got a new job, and I went from one job where it's customer service, sales, talking to people all day long, to where now I'm pretty much by myself in a truck, hours on end, all day long. So, you know, I want something to listen to. So I've been listening to podcasts. You know, I have several podcasts that I listen to where I can actually have the time to listen to them as I do my delivery routes. And then I find that I still have more time. So I've been doing some audiobooks. I've listened to 2 Star Trek audiobooks last week. And I started this week with a Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of making of book, actually, and it's pretty good so far. But that kind of inspired me to start watching some Buffy. And also, it's October. It's the Halloween season, not holiday season. I guess it is a holiday, but Halloween season. And, you know, it's one of the things, again, where I want to watch like certain monster and scary stuff. I'm not a big horror guy, but I love werewolves and vampires, kind of the mystical horror stuff, as I would call it. And, you know, Buffy fits up that alley with the vampires and the monsters and all that. I'm more of a fan of the Angel show, the spinoff, but I do like Buffy as well. Anyway, I've been watching some Buffy is kind of what I've mainly been watching this week. I'm at the end of season 2, which is the best, of course, you know, when Angel loses his soul, and, you know, season 3 is really good. Season 4 is really good. After that, it kind of teeters off a little bit, but I'm at the good stuff. So that's kind of what I've been watching, some old stuff, mainly because there's a lot of new stuff that I haven't either gotten to, or, you know, I have to be in the right mood sometimes to watch new stuff, which is why old stuff is a little easier for me to just, click on and watch because I know what I'm getting. I have to be focused and have my attention if I want to watch something new, and it really has to hold my attention is what it is. There's a lot of good programming out there, no doubt, but programming that really is going to grab my own personal attention really is rare for me, I guess I would say. Anyway, guys, fire back, let me know what you're watching, and maybe you'll get me to try something new. We'll see. All right, so to get in today's show, got a couple of things on the agenda, and I will start off with this. Speaking of things I am watching, this weekend, of course, was the season finale of Amazon's The Boys. If you haven't, been watching The Boys and you're a geek or a superhero fan, you're missing out on something good. Of course, obviously, it's mature content, so don't watch it with your kids. But if you're an adult and you enjoy the superhero genre, no doubt you've probably heard of or are watching The Boys. Season 2 was really good. After I watched the season finale, I gotta say I enjoyed Season 2 more than Season 1, which Season 1 was pretty good by itself, but Season 2, you've already introduced, the world and the characters, so you can always dive deeper into Season 2 with the series, and that's kind of what this did. So I'm going to take a few minutes, chat about that, and try to kind of give a couple of theories or things that I think might happen in Season 3. Of course, for those of you who don't know, I'm talking spoilers, so if you have not watched the season finale of The Boys, pause, watch it, come back, and then listen to my thoughts on this and maybe some predictions I have for Season 3, and share your own predictions, of course, too, and your thoughts on Season 2. So with this show, one thing I enjoyed about Season 1 was really the allegory, I guess, or the metaphor of how the superheroes were really treated like celebrities and kind of the celebrity lifestyle, I guess you would say. And I enjoyed that. And then right before Season 2 started, Comic-Con, the producers and creators were talking about how in Season 2, it's going to be more dealing with other kind of context in regards to racism, and you definitely saw that in this episode. I mean, Stormfront is a Nazi, okay? So, you obviously got that. And they were playing with those words and that metaphor in real life. Word has it in Season 3 they're going to be tackling the current COVID-19 crisis and how it's affected the world, and kind of getting all that in there, which is great because I cannot wait for Season 3. And those are kind of the best shows. Much like, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it's mystical, it's, about fantasy, but really it's the characters are human with, real problems that we all can relate to. I think, of course, that's the best kind of shows. Game of Thrones, it was a story set in, a fantasy medieval world with dragons and, witches and zombies and all this other stuff, but the characters were very human and very relatable, and that's really, when you have a fantasy show, what really makes it good is, yes, you're surrounded by all of this stuff that is unbelievable, but the characters and the situations are very much believable. And that's one thing I think The Boys does really well too, is make these characters that you like and that you love and that you can on some level relate to. Even the superheroes, really. I mean, I think it's not just about, the boys. I think the Supes are also great characters that you can, really feel for it sometimes. I will say, of course, if you've seen the end of the season, there was that one part where I cheered out loud, which I'm sure you know is the part where Queen Maeve comes in. As soon as she comes to help out Starlight and what's the other girl's name? I can't think of her name. Anyway, and then Mother's Milk says, "Girls really do get it done." Great, I cheered, kicking Stormfront's ass, and I'm so glad that Stormfront is dead. Well, I think she's dead. We didn't officially see her die, but, she had limbs torn off, burnt to a crisp, sputtering German nonsense. I'm assuming she's dead, even though we didn't see, her head chop off or anything like that. Speaking of that scene, of course, you knew Ryan was going to be doing something, and I I was sitting there and I couldn't. There were several times in this finale that I was just like, come on, Ryan, come on, Ryan. I was like, I was saying stuff out loud and I was like, come on, Ryan, do something, do something. And he did. And of course, as soon as he did it, before, the scene was over, I was like, oh shit, he's going to do something bad too. Like something's going to happen, him trying to stop Stormfront. And we found out that, he accidentally killed his mother, I guess you would say, but we really don't know because Becca was bleeding from the neck, so something went in there. I don't know. I mean, obviously she didn't look like she was burned like Stormfront was. So anyway, it was an accident. It was his fault. And God, this season finale too was so great in regards to Butcher's character and really what kind of person he really is. Yes, he's this tough anti-hero, but he loves his wife and do anything for her. And in the end, he knows what the right thing is, and he did it. So, kudos to him. And really, in regards to, say, if The Boys was like a movie, this would probably be the end of chapter 1, where it kind of ends almost happily. Yes, Butcher's wife died, but the main bad guy, Stormfront, is dead. Starlight's back on the Seven. Mother's Milk gets reunited with his family. Huey's going to, work, move on to something healthier, which, by the way, holy crap! We all suspected after that last episode where all the heads were exploding, who was that? Who was it that was exploding the head that killed the FBI or CIA lady too at the beginning as well this season? And now we got our answer. It was Senator Newman. Wow, I mean, it just blew it. That was great, and it sets so much up for the next season, of course. Who is she? Did she just inject herself with Compound B? Is she related to someone? What's her story? I think we're going to get more into that in this next season, which I think is going to be great. Homelander, at the end of this, of course, jerking off into the sky, saying that everyone loves him and no one can touch him or whatever he was doing. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes in this next season. That, Maeve called it. He wants to be loved by everyone. He wants the love that he never got as a child. So, he wants to be looked at as the world's greatest superhero. Stormfront tapped into that this season, and that's why, he kind of followed her in what she was doing. It's going to continue on, but now he knows, about Maeve and Starlight and how he's going to have to try to work with them. And it's kind of the opposite situation you've had the last 2 seasons where no one wants to work with Homelander because they know what he's like, where now he has to work with A-Train and Maeve and Starlight knowing what they're like as well, kind of flipping the script a little bit. And at the end, of course, I would have liked to have seen Butcher start to raise Ryan and keep the kid around, of course. The funny line at the end where he's like, "What'd I tell you, kid? Don't be a cunt." That's right. But he gave him up. Hopefully, one thing that Vought was trying to do with Ryan that they didn't do with Homelander was keep him with his mother and raise him, in a healthy environment. I'm assuming, the CIA and Mallory are going to try to do that with Ryan, take him somewhere safe with a family. You can't just put him in a lab because then you'll get another Homelander, which nobody wants. Obviously, Butcher wasn't the healthiest father figure or parental figure for him, so I can see why he sends him off. But I want to see him pop up still. I want to see him, still check in on Ryan from time to time and make sure that he's okay. And who knows, if this thing lasts a couple more seasons. And then at the end of this episode, we see how, Mallory offers Butcher actually funding for the endeavor of keeping track of Soups. And again, it does kind of feel like chapter 1 is over, or the first part is over, where, the boys can go legit, really, and start a whole new chapter or a whole new part in the boys saga. Like I said, semi-happy ending is kind of what we got, but I enjoyed every twist and turn of this season finale. One of my favorite season finales in a long time. So I'm excited for season 3. Totally amped up. What do you guys think? Did you like the end of the season or the whole season as a whole? Let me know. Fire back, of course. Dayspring Discussions Twitter account, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Let me know what you think of The Boys season 2. Oh, also, I totally forgot my big thing that I was going to talk about in regards to the boys. The deep. Look, I'm a swimmer. One of my nicknames is Aquaman, so I have an affinity or a little, soft spot for the deep. And he's been treated like a joke, much like Aquaman has been treated like a joke for decades. I think in season 3 he's going to get his due. I think he's going to get his due because let's face it, okay? If you look at Aquaman as a character, he got his due. New 52, War of Atlantis, War of Kings. Is that what it's? War of Atlantis? I think that's what it was. Whatever one it was, where Aquaman and Orm fought. You saw just how powerful of a character Aquaman can be. And I think the deep can be just as powerful. I mean, world's 70% ocean, we're 70% water. And if, he rallied all the ocean creatures against the rest of the world because he was pissed off, I think something could happen in that regards. But that's just me wanting to see the Aquaman of this show get his due. Sorry, soft spot. Anyway, guys, let's move on to the next subject. Okay, so one of the things I was going to talk about last week that I didn't do a show last week because I got busy. This is a hobby for me. I don't get paid for this. I love to do it because I love to share my feelings. I love to discuss this stuff. So I love to do it, but it's at the bottom of my to-do list every week. That's why I try to, find a time to do it. Saturdays I record. Sundays nights I can post it. And, hopefully it all works out. I didn't get to it last week because I was busy last Saturday. And that's just what happened. But one of the things I was going to talk about was the rumor or news that Jamie Foxx was going to be joining the next Spider-Man film as the character of Electro that he played in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'll share my thoughts on that in just a second. But we have more stuff coming out in regards to Spider-Man 3. So according to The Hollywood Reporter, they're saying that Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be joining the film as Doctor Strange, coming in, making an appearance. We don't know, how big it is going to be, but they're saying he's going to be kind of the mentor character in this one to Peter, much like how Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man was in Spider-Man Homecoming, a little bit to how, Jon Favreau's Happy Hogan was to Peter in the next one, and this is kind of his next mentor in this. The MCU has done a real good job of connecting where characters pop up. I mean, you had Iron Man in Spider-Man Homecoming. And I get it. Spider-Man's a character, though, I think he can stand on his own. He doesn't need these constant characters popping in and out. But really, that's what, growing up in comic books is, where you see, everyone's part of the same world. Everyone lives in, New York. You got Spider-Man, X-Men, the Avengers, they all operate in New York. So, of course, they're going to run into each other like they do. So it makes sense that, some of these characters would pop in and out of a Spider-Man movie. It's all the MCU. They're all in the same area. I mean, Doctor Strange is based in New York, and so is Spider-Man. So it would make sense that they might run into each other. And then tying into the fact that Jamie Foxx is coming back, and possibly, I don't think they're 100%, but they said there's a good chance he's playing the exact same character that he played in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So with that, first off, I hated that movie. And Jamie Foxx, while a great, great actor, that was a horrible character that was unbearable to watch, pretty much. Much like most of the movie, because they were so busy trying to set up the bigger Spider-Man shared universe, they forgot to focus on The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And you see a lot of films like that, a lot of studios wanting to get that shared cinematic money, much like the MCU is doing, who has set the standard. Warner Brothers, Batman v Superman, had so much in it that was trying to set up so much for later on. I think a lot of it, while I like the ultimate cut, you can tell that they needed to focus more on that film instead of trying to expand into a cinematic universe. And there are other studios and other cinematic universes that I think did the same, and that's where they failed, where they tried to set up the greater future films without focusing on the actual film they were making. Now, we know that the MCU has another Doctor Strange film planned. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Multiverse. Oh boy. Okay, so let's just take a whole stab at this, if we shall. We also know that WandaVision, the upcoming Disney Plus series, is going to tie into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, for me, when I first heard that, I thought, okay, if you look at just the commercial for WandaVision and what I know about Scarlet Witch from the comics, Wanda hasn't even touched the kind of power that she can get to in the comic books. You know, she can reshape reality, and it looks like she's starting to realize that in this upcoming Disney Plus series. Well, that kind of big magic, Doctor Strange will notice, and he's, supposed to protect the realm magically. So it would make sense that he would try to either, tutor Wanda or, try to get her powers under control so it doesn't hurt anybody or hurt reality is what it comes down to. But what if he can't? Obviously, like I said, Scarlet Witch, very powerful character. She's done a lot of weird stuff in the comics. House of M probably being the most famous of them. What if she opens up a world that expands beyond WandaVision, beyond the Multiverse of Madness film, into the rest of the MCU? Maybe Jamie Foxx's Electro from another Earth steps on over to the MCU because a portal is opened in the multiverse. And that's when he comes through. And then, of course, people are talking about, well, let's see Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire come back and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, we don't know exactly 100% what is going on. But everything that's pointing towards, when you think that, bringing back Jamie Foxx as Electro from another Spider-Man franchise, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, mixing it with WandaVision, add those two other MCU pieces into the mix of what we're getting with ideas that Jamie Foxx is going to be Electro in this. I think they're all connected. I think all three of these films, maybe even more, are leading to a multiverse of madness within the MCU that might not be contained to just WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2, perhaps. It could be something where I don't think we're going to build up to another Thanos-level event over 20 films, but it may be something that could run for at least a couple films, maybe. That's just me theorizing what could possibly be going on in Spider-Man 3, given the information about Jamie Foxx, given the information about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and what I know that is connected to in regards to WandaVision. That's what I'm piecing together here. That's my theories. I'm probably totally wrong, like I am with everything in life, but that's what I think. What do you guys think? Fire back on the social media groups and Dayspring discussions at gmail.com. Do you think it's tying into the multiverse? Do you think we're going to get other characters like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, whatever? Fire back, of course. Let me know what you guys think of Spider-Man 3. All right, guys, my last story for today. One that I was very excited to hear about yesterday. So we know that HBO Max is working on a Green Lantern live-action series that's going to be put on the streaming service. We know that Greg Berlanti, most known for putting together the Arrowverse, along with Mark Guggenheim, are going to be kind of running it a little bit. We know this was happening, and now we have more news as to this series that has officially been greenlit a go for HBO Max. So, details came out saying first, it's going to be 10 episodes on HBO Max. Berlanti, Guggenheim are going to be a part of it, and they're going to team up with Seth Grahame-Smith, who's going to help write it. Now, he is the guy best known for penning popular novels such as Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, as well as work on the Lego Batman movie, It, and It Chapter 2. We also know that the characters that are going to be involved are going to be Guy Gardner, Jessica Cruz, Simon Baz, Kilowog, and the original original Green Lantern, Alan Scott, which in the press release, they want to emphasize that, yes, Alan Scott is gay, so they want to kind of, push that diversity in there as well. And of course, missing from that cast was probably the two most popular Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, and my personal favorite, Kyle Rayner. Now, we don't know yet when the series is going. Like I said, it's pretty much been greenlit off, the premise, and these are kind of the first details that we're getting. Green Lantern, HBO Max. This is honestly, this is what I wanted. You have a plethora of characters to choose from. Guy Gardner, of course, one of the great ones in regards to Green Lanterns. Jessica Cruz and Simon Baz, I'm not as familiar with because those are the newer Green Lanterns and really have been Green Lanterns post Jeff Johns, coming into play. So I don't know them as well as I do, Hal, John, Kyle, Guy. I don't. So, but I know their origins. I know their the outline of what their characters are, and I think that's great. Alan Scott, I know it was in the Earth 2 storyline where they took that character and the kind of the Justice Society characters and, revamped them a little bit and, making him a gay character is fine. I think the fact that this show has, a plethora of diversity is great because I think that's something it can really work on in regards to obviously aliens. You can do, stuff with immigration and things along those lines, I guess you would say. So I like this cast. I like these characters. Missing, of course, Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart. Let's be honest, okay? We all know that Warner Brothers is saving them for some kind of movie. Whether it's a Justice League movie, whether it's a Green Lantern movie of their own, they're the two most famous ones. So I have no doubt they're going to pop up in some kind of Warner Brothers big budget Green Lantern movie. Whether it ties into the series, we don't know. Whether this is going to tie into the Snyderverse, we don't know. But again, I like these characters. I like the idea of a Green Lantern series. Mainly, like I've said, in regards to the DC Universe, what I've said with X-Men and why I don't want X-Men to join the MCU is there's enough characters and enough story and enough history. You don't need to put the X-Men in the MCU. They can stand on their own because of how many characters and stories you can tell just with them. And if you go over the DC universe, DC, Green Lantern is like that as well. You don't need Green Lantern to interact with Batman and Flash, which it's great when they do, but there's enough characters and enough story and enough adventure in just Green Lantern alone to keep it separate from the rest of the DC universe and any kind of shared cinematic universe thing going on. It's more fun when they play with the other characters like Superman and Wonder Woman and all them, but you don't need them. There's enough characters, enough personalities, enough situations that you don't have to have it in there. Now, before I sign off, I will say, like I said, the other one that was not mentioned was Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner is my favorite Green Lantern, actually. So the fact that he's missing from this, I'm not too happy about. I hope, that maybe you could say, well, that means they're going to save him for a movie like Hal and John. Perhaps not. I think Kyle gets a little bit of a bad rap. A lot of times, he's more forgettable Lantern of the core four human lanterns. I mean, Hal was, the pinnacle of what the Green Lantern is. When you think Green Lantern, you think Hal Jordan. John, of course, being the one of the more famous in regards to, being African American, being on the animated series Justice League, and then Guy Gardner, of course, being the rough and tough, kind of bad boy Green Lantern. And so Kyle kind of gets thrown out in the dark a little bit next to the other three, when really, to me, he has one of the more interesting storylines out of all four of them. I could get into it, but I'm running out of time here, so I'm just going to say that I really want to see Kyle Rayner, if not in this series, somewhere up live screen at some point. If you want to know Kyle Rayner's story and why I find it interesting, why I think he deserves a spot of his own, live action or even animated, I don't care. Just, get people to know this character. Fire back on the Dayspring Discussions Gmail account, Facebook group, Twitter account, or find me personally on Twitter, Instagram, SlimDayspring12. And I will tell you all about why I think Kyle Rayner is the best Green Lantern. But that's it for me today, guys. Of course, fire back on any of the subjects I have talked about. Green Lantern series, how do you feel about that? I love movies, but TV is really where my passion is because it's a longer form of storytelling. You can dive more into the characters, get more emotionally connected to them, and I think tell better stories, especially nowadays. It's the golden age of TV, man, and it's great. I love it, and I'm excited for this. Spider-Man 3, what do you think? Are we going multiverse? Are we bringing in other Spider-Mans? What do you think about that? And of course, The Boys Season 2. How did you think about the finale? What do you got theorized for Season 3? I'd love to hear it, guys. But that is going to be it for me today. Like I said, hopefully I'll get this posted up on Sunday night. Hope you guys have a good week. Feel free, of course, like I said, to post stuff on the Dayspring Discussions Facebook and Twitter account. And let's keep the discussions going, guys. But that's it. Go out, have a good week, have a good life. And until next time, may the Force be with us all.